Oh, what a wild Sunday we are in for at the Open Championship. Shane Lowry stumbles in round 3, and it has a whole lot of guys in the mix. And Billy Horschel, who's not supposed to be in this position, is on top of the leaderboard at the Open Championship. Boys, before we get into individuals, odds that we like, looking at all the stats, Will, who is still in this? Give me a number at par that is still in this tournament.
Even. I think even is my
par.
cutoff. I talked to Adam Scott after his round, and he finished it even, and he thought he had no chance to win this tournament. He thought, I've lost it on Friday. I'm going to be chasing these guys. He thought the lead was going to be between 7 and 9 under. Lo and behold, the rain comes, the wind comes. Now we have one player at more than 3 under, and the even par guys are going to be 4 shots back. If you go back to 97, when Justin Leonard won here at Royal Troon, he was 5 shots back entering the final round. It was a little different scenario because he only had 2 players ahead of him on the leaderboard. That Sunday, it's more crowded now, but I think 4 shots back is just the right number, and I could absolutely see someone sitting in that group like Adam Scott, Justin Thomas at even par. Their chances are not done yet.
We got an Open. We actually got one after 2 days of not really having one. We all of a sudden got one. Sensational stuff. What? Well, no Morikawa miracle for my pick? 2 over?
No.
If he was that even, I would have agreed. But that
yeah,
back nine
shocker
killed
that
him.
a Ben pick is going to torpedo here. Listen, there's too many players.
Yeah.
There's too many guys.
Yeah.
It's not about being 6 shots back. It's about having 13, 14, 15 guys ahead of you. One of those people you're chasing is going to put up a 68. I don't know who it's going to be or where they're going to come from, but especially with the weather tomorrow, it's going to improve. The red figure is going to be back in play, and the +2s just have too much ground to make up in terms of volume, not necessarily strokes.
We have the stats to back up who you should be picking in the final round. Will, you hit the nail on the head with Xander Schauffele yesterday, looking at the data we showed. That's coming up in a minute. Let's do Billy Horschel first, because you guys, he has not been good at the Open. Will, you made it. Comment, not good at majors, period. He has been known to be a guy who's so volatile, you have no idea where any shot's going at any given time. Will, is it a concern for this guy? He's plus 550 in the lead. I think the chances he does this thing tomorrow.
I think the price indicates that odds makers have no idea what to expect from Billy Horschel. You can say that about a lot of guys on this leaderboard, but I think Horschel especially just came out of the blue. He was on the board yesterday, and we didn't even talk about him because he wasn't really someone that we thought was going to stay in the mix. Lo and behold, he comes out like an offensive lineman for the Packers. He's wearing short sleeves when it's 50 degrees and raining sideways. He's chipping from everywhere to a foot. There was a short game clinic from the gods, as was described by the BBC radio over here. I think he had, the round of the week today, and it's very hard. We talk so often about how do you follow a really low round when you're talking about a 59 or a 60. I think this is similar. I mean, what he did today, even with the bogey on 18 and kind of stumbling coming in, I mean, he was clearly one of the best rounds of the late wave of the lead group that had to face the worst of the conditions. So how he responds to this situation, being in the final group, having the sole lead, he's won a bunch on the PGA Tour before. He's won the FedEx Cup 10 years ago. I'm sure he'll rely on that experience as well as being just 37 and being a veteran. But this is newfound territory for Billy Horschel in the majors.
He must be just dumbfounded that he's in the solo lead at the Open through 3 rounds, because the rest of us are as well. Like, all of a sudden, he just was there. Again, look, he did it by some miracle stuff. Can he maintain that? That's the big question. I'm with Will. I think, maybe all of the magic was taken up today. If he goes on with it, well done. We've seen him do it in big events. Like you said, he's won the FedEx Cup. I always go back to the Memorial a couple of years ago, where out of nowhere, he just put on an absolute iron clinic and took on everybody and dominated there. So it's in him. He also, has taken to Europe. He's a Hammers fan in the English Premier League, and he loves the crowd. He tries to sort of get them on his side. So he'll have a little bit of support there. Obviously not as much as the English guys like Rose and Daniel Neville Brown, as I called him. But, we'll see how they go. Look, Billy Horschel, he's in a great spot. He can absolutely win from here. Do I think he will? No, I don't. I would like to see 7-8 to 1, which they're never going to give you when he's in the lead, but that would be the point for me.
I don't know, man. I still think plus 550 on a solo leader going into Sunday. So
Crazy.
This is not Daniel Brown that's leading by 1. This is Billy Horschel, who, yes, this is new new territory for him, but he's won before. He's not a nobody.
The biggest problem he has.
He's not a Neville.
He's not, well, he might feel like one lately, but his biggest problem, you guys, is the fact that he has so many stars right behind him. He's not 4 shots up. He's one up on 2 of the best players in the world. He's one up on another veteran who clearly is being so rock solid right now in Justin Rose. So let's get to it. This worked pretty well for us yesterday, looking at what all the leaders have done well off the tee, approaching the green, and putting. Will, you nailed Xander Schauffele on the head. He stumbled a bit, just like everybody else did at the end, though, with all that wind and hitting driver 3-wood and not getting the par 4s. What do we see from these stats? Who pops out in terms of potential that they haven't hit their ceiling yet? I know we talked about putting with Xander yesterday. Xander lost shots off the tee today and gained a ton on the green today, Will. So that was correct. What are you looking at today?
I think I'm looking at the weather forecast for tomorrow, first of all, and we're not going to have the same weather we had during the 3rd round. It is going to get better, and I think importantly, we are going to go back to a southwesterly wind. I have to get my wind crane out or whatever to figure out what all this means. But basically, we're going to have the golf course that we saw the first 2 days, where the first 6, 7, 8 holes are going to play into the wind, and then the back 9 is going to play downwind. It is against the prevailing wind. How it played today is how Royal Troon usually plays, with those last 9 or 10 holes right back into the teeth of it. But it's going to flip back tomorrow. So I think, these stats are a good piece of information, but I'm looking a lot at how these guys played the first 2 rounds, because that's the course that they're going to see. So, I think that Xander is the complete package right now. I think that he deserves to be a favorite, even a little bit ahead of Scotty Scheffler, which is where most odds makers currently have them priced. I think Jay Rose is in a very interesting place statistically. I'm more concerned, or I guess intrigued, by how he handles the pressure of this spot, being a couple weeks away from his 44th birthday. This might be the last chance Justin Rose has to win a major. And I know he's already got one. He's got an Olympic medal. He's been world number 1. He's an accomplished player, but that has to factor at least a little bit when you go into something like this. And then I'm looking, Ben, at the guy way down at the board, the guy that was plus 200 a few hours ago and now is out above 30-1. Shane Lowry is not done yet. He had a terrible putting performance. He had a really rough 8 or 9 holes, but there's a lot of people that are going to start tomorrow inside the top 15. They can point to a rough 9 holes that they had this week. Shane Lowry had his bad day today, and it didn't put him out of the tournament.
Yeah, I go back to what I said at the start of the week. This is a strokes gained approach course. So, look, Billy Horschel, I didn't realize was that good on approach. That's why he's there. That's why he is where he is. I know he was chipping up and down from everywhere today, but it's essentially the approach game that keeps you in contention at Troon. So you got Horschel there. You got Scheffler, obviously. You've got Shane Lowry, who you just mentioned. I trust Shane Lowry. Actually, this is bizarre to say, but I trust Shane Lowry to have a better putting day tomorrow than I potentially think Scheffler can. Scheffler's been bad on the greens all week and probably will continue that, which means he'll need to really hit it well. He is. He's in it. He's behind Scheffler, like you said. Scheffler is the package. You go across the board there. He's doing everything right, and his weakest spot right now is still the putting on those numbers. That's improving. That'll probably improve tomorrow. He also won the PGA, which is a big factor I'm putting into this, because I think that performance will have less nerves around him. He'll feel like this is mine to go and get. He's that type of player. So I do like Xander from here. That's why he's the favorite. I know that's an easy cop-out. There's a few guys that said that it could bust out. It's really anybody's game. And you haven't got him there, but the guy you spoke to that said he was out of it, I don't think he's out of it anymore. Adam Scott. Like, he is a candidate to go out a little earlier and put the 67 up there, or put the 66. Then he's going to need help. Going to need, Scheffler and Xander to miss putts, etc. But it's not outside the realms of possibility. And we still could have Neville Brown turn it around as well. We still could have our Todd Hamilton. Like, I'm not writing that off. I'm not saying go put money on it. But you hit the nail too in terms of where's the value. Shane Lowry is the value, right? Like, he's the value for a turnaround. If you want to see an outlier come through, he's close enough still. Only 3 shots. That's enough that he can make up, especially if he's gaining 2.5 on approach per round. We'll see how he goes. But yeah, look, the stats tell me the strokes gained approach guys, or Xander, who is the most accomplished across all the stats.
If we're going to talk about Daniel Brown and being in a foreign spot, let's group him with some other players on this list who really have been similar in terms of high ceilings putting. If you go Brown and Sam Burns, those two guys, have they hit their ceiling? I mean, Burns, is he already doing so good on the green that he can't possibly do any better? That's a concern. Same with Daniel Brown. Russell Henley looks like the exact opposite, though. I think Matt Delvecchio called him the forgotten soldier in our group chat, which is perfect for Russell Henley. Never gets talked about. Lo and behold, he was up there at the U.S. Open. We were talking about him before the U.S. Open. He made a run. Nobody picked him. Here he is again. What about Russell Henley, Will?
I already have regrets about not picking him this week. I think I had him for a top 10 in Pinehurst. We'll run back the tape. But,
I apologize.
Of those three, I do think that he's got the best shot. I mean, it's amazing to think that Sam Burns is in this. I think he was 7 over after his first 11 holes on Thursday.
Yeah.
I mean, just absolute ejection. And he brought it back, and he did similarly earlier this year at a major. So he certainly feels like he's playing with found money. But I think that, Russell Henley – we're a year removed from Brian Harman, another UGA guy, winning as a veteran that you thought maybe wasn't going to get that major. I think Ben and we both agreed that Horschel fits that Harman mold maybe a little better, but Henley does have those ties to Athens. So it wouldn't surprise me to see him certainly, make a little bit of a run. He seemed to be chipping away at it today during the third round and really making the most out of the middle of the day when, man, guys, I can't tell you how tough those conditions were. I was out there walking the front nine with the leaders, and it was just – it was the combination of the rain and then the wind didn't kick up until they turned around and played everything into the wind. And there were so many moments where the rain would die down and you thought it was over, and then it would pick right back up 30 seconds later. And, from hearing from guys afterwards, and, John Rahm said that it just went longer than they were expecting. Mackenzie Hughes was talking about on the 18th hole on Friday, he hit 4-iron sand wedge. Today he hit driver 4-iron and didn't hit the green. I mean, it was an absolutely completely different golf course today. And that derailed a lot of guys, including Shane Lowry, and some of them are way more out of it than necessarily the Irishman is. But guys like Henley and Burns made up a ton of ground in a hurry because of how they handled it.
Plus 900, by the way.
Lawrence, Burns, Henley, they got the better of it, though, Will, too. That's what, you have to remember that when you're looking at this.
Good point.
Those guys got the better of it. So therefore, you have to be, you might be looking at going, oh, look how well they shot on the third round. They're in form. They're going great. Well, they didn't have to face the adversity the other guys did, and that was to their advantage. They put themselves in position because of it. But now they have to go and face the pressure of the real Open Sunday. They have to go back to what they were struggling with earlier in the week in terms of, they weren't in it prior to that. Burnsy boy, I'm fascinated to see because we know he's a talent. We know he's good, but I reckon he's going to wake up thinking, where am I and how am I here? Like, he is a candidate for me to eject. Like, he could be a huge number tomorrow. I hope I'm wrong. Like, I have nothing against the bloke, but he could be a guy that you could see do a 76, 77 tomorrow and fall out of it. You'll be bringing this back up and replaying it to him when he wins the Claret Jug. But, like, plus 1.9 putting, you've got to do that under Sunday pressure in a major to win your first major. That's big. Although, start of the week, what did we also say? It will be a first-time major winner. We said that all the stats point to another first-time major winner. That gives us Horschel, Lawrence, Burns, Henley, Brown, and further down if you go further. But, like, they're there. It's there. If you believe in trends, they're all there. They're there.
Daniel Brown
Ben, to your point on the scoring real quick, Chris, that – again, I was talking to Mackenzie Hughes, and he went out in the teeth of it. And he said, I would have been better off playing worse Thursday, Friday, being back at like 4 over to start the day and go out and have to shoot a 66 in calm conditions than to go out and where I did and have to shoot a 71 in the middle of it and end up shooting, I think, 75. And he said, I'm not even sure if that was a bad round. So there is a little bit of rub of the green. We deal with that all the time in majors with the early, late draw on Thursday, Friday. But this week in particular, it did certainly buck its head a little bit on Saturday.
Some will call it unfair. That's why we love majors, the unpredictability. If we're going to say even par, maybe plus one has a chance, let's talk some big names who are likely out of it. We're not going to put their odds to win on here, but these are big name players, and if you think anybody else can step up, get a top 5, top 10 for some good value money, because we always see 65, 66, especially from players starting earlier in the day. You like anybody on this board for some good money if people want to make some bets?
Morikawa miracle. Let's see him get in that top 10. Let's see him make a move. Plus 260. I don't love the odds.
Top 10 wouldn't be hard at all.
Move up. Yeah, he can move up the board. So it's obviously there. Again, there is a chance for those guys to go early to really hit that front nine hard, right? You got to try to make the scores early. You got to try to start to have those guys in the behind thinking about what they may need to do to be in contention going into the final the final 9 holes. So there is a chance for those guys to essentially play with house money, go out and try to make some birdies, get lucky, and then hold on the way home. I liked Morikawa all week, so I'll just say him.
Top 10?
I'll see if he can get in that top 10. Yeah, top 10 Morikawa for me.
I'm going to take Rahm. I'm tempted by that 1,200 for a top 5. I'm trying to do the math, figure out exactly what he would need. Probably in the range of like a 66, maybe a 65. So maybe you go a little safer, quote unquote, with that plus 250 for a top 10, given that those plus 2s with Rahm and Morikawa are starting at, I believe, T16. So they don't have a ton of room to have to climb to get in the top 10. But yeah, I could absolutely see Jon Rahm, who was 1 over today, and he played in the teeth of it too. I could see him turning around and putting in something in the mid-60s tomorrow.
I didn't make you guys do this last time at the U.S. Open, round 3. I'm going to make all of us do it today. Who's winning on Sunday? Benny B, you start.
Xander Schauffele, the favorite. I know that's weak, but that's where I'll go.
I think Shane Lowry still wins this. Get him at 30-1. I think he's coming back. And I will also put in a vote for Matt Del Vecchio, our social guy, who has been riding the Justin Rose bandwagon all week and is still very convinced that Jay Rose is going to get major number 2.
I will back that on his behalf, Justin Rose. And, Will, I don't know if you were part of this conversation a long time ago. I told Ben, I think after the Masters, that one of 2 things was going to happen, maybe 2 things all year. We were going to have a major winner who we didn't think could win a major. It was Xander Schauffele. Or we were going to have a former major winner who everybody thought was done playing well, going to win one more major. That's Justin Rose.
Congratulations, Scotty Scheffler. You just won the Claret Jug because we barely mentioned you, and you're world number 1 and 92 back. Like, that's going to happen now because he's done it to me all year.